Yep. This will be 401, by the
That's
way.
right. Hey, everybody, this is the Banned Books Podcast, part of the 1517 Podcast Network. We are your hosts, Christopher Gillespie.
Chilling and willing, maxing and relaxing in the morning.
And I'm Don O'Reilly. This is episode number 401.
401.
401.
401. I don't know why we say O because it's a zero, but for Newell.
For Nil. For Nil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Nil.
it's answering question day, listener question day today on the show. So we will...
A new feature, a regular feature.
Sure. A summer feature. Maybe
summer
it lasts
feature.
longer. Who knows?
Well, we have to have good questions. That's the first problem.
Well, we do have good questions.
We love you. We love
often
you.
provide
Sorry.
bad answers, but we
There
have
you
great
go.
questions.
There's no bad questions, only bad answers.
I think that a majority of our listeners, 99.999% of them, are actually intelligent people. I talked to some of them at your church, actually.
They don't always. What do I want to say? They're not always appropriate for a show.
That too.
They
for
may
sure.
just
For
be
this
like,
show, yes, right.
Yeah, tell us more
format.
about some kind of extra pharmacal solution to
Sure, right.
a certain medical problem.
Right. There are so many people out there that you can go to for that.
Yeah, we don't need to be that.
Right. This is the great thing about the positive side of social media is that, and even YouTube, despite all their censorship, is that there are so many people now that are available to talk to. And even like with my Irish teachers, it's like, I think we talked about this. I was talking with our friend Dan and Eric on 30 Minutes of the New Testament, is when you started a podcast in like 2018, people would say, oh, you have a podcast? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now they're like, oh, you're a middle-aged white guy. Cool. Good for you.
And you have a podcast. Wow.
Right. And
Aren't you a cliche?
Shocking. Yeah. Like everybody who's middle-aged, that's the trope. Middle-aged white guys start their own podcast because that's therapy, because men don't go to therapy, so they just do self-therapy. But like even my Irish teachers, I can contact them through Instagram and they actually answer me. And they're just normal people. That's the thing, right? They're just normal people doing their job. And with the platform, they're just available to reach a larger audience. And again, if you're respectful and kind and show that you're actually engaged and you don't just want to, mess with them, or you're not a bot, they're more than happy to respond and engage in conversation, which is so beneficial, especially if like you're on the other side of the globe, for example. But there's friends of mine on Instagram that live in Spain, Greece, Australia, South Africa. And I can just reach out to, hey, man, I saw your post this morning, but I had a question on this one thing. Could you kind of go a little deeper, or just give me a link, point me in the direction, right? And I think that's the great thing, is that for our listeners too, is this is a part of the programming thing. This is a part of being suggestible, is that we farm out responsibility, personal responsibility to others, and say, just tell me what I'm supposed to think. Tell me what I'm supposed to say. Versus, as I brought up last week and I was talking about at your place, once I explain the meaning of a story, I've killed it. It's no longer living, because I basically kind of cornered you and balked you and said, this is what it means. And then you just repeat that.
And we know, because we've listened to them, many great artists are like, I don't know what they mean.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes song lyrics are that way too.
Right. Why do
They're
they have to mean something? Why can't they just teach you?
I was listening to one of my favorite, he's not deceased, and they asked him, why are your song lyrics so repetitive?
Shout out to Ozzy.
So I can remember them.
Yeah. Shout out to Ozzy, who died a Christian. So he was baptized. Hulk Hogan was baptized like 18, 19 months ago with his wife.
How about Malcolm Jamal Warner?
Malcolm Jamal Warner. There you go. Yeah.
That was the three. I think
3 in a row. Yeah.
The three. I don't know. Was that a thing?
I really thought Ghislaine was going to be the third one, but then I realized she's not in prison, actually, so how could she be dead? Yeah. But so what happens is we're taught, our entire life is taught through schooling, through media, to farm out personal responsibility to others. Just tell me the answer, right? And then we repeat the answer. That's how tests, like learning to the test, studying to the test, is like, just give me the right answer. Versus, go look up people, go be curious. This is, I think the key is be curious. I've been sick all week. My nervous system got fried last weekend, not because of you, but because of things that happened on the way home on Sunday. 5-hour trip took 10.5 hours.
Well, who knows what kind of radiomagnetic things you drove through.
Well, that too. There were a lot of 5G towers in Wisconsin. My goodness.
Yeah,
Annie, my wife, was noting them. She's like, is that another one? I'm like, yeah. She's like, wow, there's so many here. And so my nervous system got fried. So I've been in bed all week sick, I've been watching hours and hours and hours of videos of Appalachian folk medicine and history, because my wife, that's her business, is, being a healer. and helping people with these things. And because she can't tell people, like, here, I can cure you. That's against the law,
Right.
actually, for her
Right.
to say that. But what she can do is say, listen, here's what I know, here's what I've learned, and here's the direction I can point you so you can learn this for yourself. That's a part of actually being a good healer, is to say, I'm not going to monopolize and monetize your health. I'm going to give these resources to you. Go learn how to actually resource this stuff and heal yourself too.
Well, I told you
And
this story before, but I was having lower back problems,
mhm,
and I kept going to the same guy. And he would adjust, and it'd be better for a week or two.
mhm,
And then, family recommended one that was quite a distance away, but
right.
it was like 3 hours away. We drove to him, and he got adjusted, and then went back another time, and he's like, how about we put you in the standing x-ray, put me in the standing x-ray? And
Uh,
he's like, yeah, you just need this little thing in your shoe, add a quarter inch in your shoe,
sure.
and it'll straighten out your back. And did
Right.
it. And it's like, now what incentive did he have to buy like $1.50 piece of
Mhm,
rubber to put in my shoe? I never
yeah.
had to go back to him for an adjustment for that
Right.
problem ever
Right.
again. You're like, it seems what's not,
But he should also then
but he's a healer.
show you, but he should show you the direction so that you can go learn why that happens.
Yeah, he did.
So you
And
can learn for yourself.
and consequently, I trust him implicitly.
Right.
Right.
And so even as a pastor, to bring it around to the theological topic, is, as we were talking about this off backstage, is when you come to me for counseling, for example, one of the things I tell people at the front end is, I can't heal you and I can't fix you,
Mm-hmm.
but Jesus can, Christ can, and here's medicine. Here's the body and blood of Christ. This actually can heal you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. This can heal you. And the most diehard, then, like in the pocket, I'm all in on this, people are the alcoholics, the abuse survivors, the LEOs, and veterans who've gone through some really radical traumatic experiences, people that are in it currently. They're the ones who then come and say, listen, I'm not here for you as a pastor. I'm not here for the hymns. I'm not here for the music. I'm not here even for the church. I need that because
Yeah.
that actually is doing what you told me it was going to do. Now, help me understand why. And then I can say, well, do you want me to just tell you, or come to Bible class, for example,
Mm-hmm.
be in the Word of God. And I think that's the best teacher for you, is for not for me to explain it to you, because that's a long conversation. And it took me decades to come to that, because God had to give that to me in pieces as well, feeding me the crumbs. But rather come to Bible class, and then you can eat crumbs, and each crumb will fill you, and you keep eating those crumbs, and eventually you learn to recognize the bread that it's coming from, and you recognize the hand that made that bread and served it. And then piece by piece in his grace, he fills it and goes, here's again, the woman that had the flow of blood, and she had gone to everyone, and everyone had failed her, and no one could help her or fix her or heal her. When she comes to Jesus, she doesn't need more of, hey, I can help you.
Right.
The leper that says, if you want to, you can heal me. He doesn't ask, what's the meaning of my leprosy, right? He doesn't ask, hey, do you have any medicine
Did I
you
sin
can
or
give
did my
me?
parents sin? Now, other people ask that
Right,
question,
right.
but not the
No,
one who's sick.
be healed. I want to heal you, be healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or who touched me? Because this is what's wild. Right? We always talk about this. The wildness of this story is, she touched his tzitzit. That's the bead on the end of the prayer shawl, the little tassel. So it's not his hem, it's the prayer shawl that she touches. Jesus is the little tassels on the end of the prayer shawl. I have one hanging right here, actually.
Oh, on the fringe of your garment?
This right here. These are the things she touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like the knots on a rosary,
Okay.
or like, and so this is what you would hold when you pray, right?
Right.
She touches that, and she's healed. And Jesus says, I felt power go out from me. I felt dynamis, is the word in Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamite. Dynamis came. Wait, what? So you're saying that you're so full
It
of
is an odd
like
story, isn't it?
heavenly energy, whatever
Yeah.
that is, that if I just touch you, which is interesting, because he tells Mary in the garden, don't touch me, because it's not time yet.
Well, it almost sound. I mean, you can read that narrative different ways. We had
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene this week on Tuesday. It was her
Mhm.
feast day. It sounds like she has already thrown herself on him, and he's
Well,
like,
she did
yeah, yeah,
on the floor at
right.
the
She had
feast.
before, but I mean, there in the
But there,
garden,
yeah, right.
and he's
But I'm
like,
just saying physically, there's
yeah,
something there where he's like, not you,
it's ambiguous. Yeah.
not
Well, and
yet.
this is not the way that
Hmm.
and then the road to
Well,
Emmaus
what's even
couples
crazier
with that.
is he touches the disciples when he washes their feet, but he doesn't let them do that to him,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's interesting, if you, in the very sparse accounts we have, who gets to touch Jesus and who he touches.
Well, and arguably, I mean, Thomas doesn't.
Right.
I know that's an
He
argument.
doesn't touch him.
Yeah.
Right. Blessed are those who believe and have not seen.
Who have seen and
Right.
not, who have
But it
not
is
seen and yet
interesting,
believe.
since we're talking about, I've never actually thought about this until this moment, is very few people ever touch Jesus.
I would argue that they all get to touch Jesus,
Mary
though.
does. Simon
Well, I should
does.
say it the other way around, right? The argument isn't,
Simeon, sorry.
do they get to touch Jesus? No, he touches them.
Well, I'm just saying, though, like just at a very practical level, people don't touch him because they're freaked out by him. And the
Yeah.
only ones that touch him are his mother, a prophet, a woman with a flow of blood. Who
Yeah,
else? Mary, when she washes him.
sure.
There's very few people that physically touch
I've said
him.
it this way, though, that his word is an extension of touch, that it is physical.
Sure.
I know it's not.
I'm just saying on a very practical level, though.
Yeah, no, I
Not
understand.
not figuratively or even in symbolically. I'm saying like on just a very practical
No, I don't even
level.
think it's symbolic. I still think it's real, um,
Right.
but it is.
The bigger reality.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
exactly.
deeper reality, how you want to say it is. But it's just interesting that she touches him and power goes out from him. And he's like, "Who touched me?" She's like, "I did." And he's like, "Ah, cool."
Right, but
Anyways.
it's his clothing, right?
And it's
Which
not even
is,
him. Yeah, it's his clothing. She doesn't touch him. Good
of
point.
course, there is the language of clothing. The Bible
Yeah.
has much to
Right.
say about clothing,
Covering. Yeah.
and being clothed in.
Right. And so his prayer shawl covers her, and that stops the flow of blood.
Hmm.
Which, you know, if you're into relics and stuff like that, that will help your argument, right? I have the bead or the tassel off his prayer shawl in my reliquary. You're like, no, good for you. Okay, cool. But it goes to the point then that when we talk with people, what we're trying to do, what we hope is happening because of God's word and what He promises is, you come to us and you're under this spell, this enchantment. You've been bewitched, and I mean that literally. And the only way to break that is to name the spirit that has captured you and has kind of captured your imagination so that you can't see it. We've talked about this before. Like when you're in it, you can't see it. It has to be somebody from the outside who comes in. Jesus is constantly doing this, right? Especially with demons. He unmasks the demons. Or he unmasks always the demons, like the boy in the synagogue, the demoniac and everything. And
Right.
he's unmasking, and in unmasking it, he exposes and essentially just defangs it. He disempowers them and strips them
Hmm.
of their actual authority. And then the person's freed by that.
Yeah.
And he says that the disciples will do this at the end of Mark. He's like, you'll do this too, don't worry about it. And they do in the book of Acts. Like they're doing it constantly.
Yeah. Never mind the controversy about the end of Mark. It
Yeah.
is a summary of the book of Acts, so it's fine.
Right. And we don't, unfortunately, in the Western churches, we don't, well, this is the deception, right? Is the churches that claim that, the snake handling churches, the sign churches,
Hmm.
they don't
Faith
have
healing. That'd be
they
another
don't
one.
have the gospel.
Right. It's a
That's
substitute gospel, right?
it is. And that's the problem with it. In the same way, like I was saying, like Carl Jung is really one of the most detrimental figures in 20th century American history for the churches because, well, I'm sorry, world history, but European and American because he's European. He's really the most detrimental personalities because he's the one who floated out archetype, trope, and then we adopted that in the churches.
Or read everything that way.
We read everything that way. So you pointed out a book where he talks about theology and literature, but he uses the term archetype, and I'm like, that's not.
Actually, the person who wrote to us did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but again, that's the spell.
We
That's the
can't help it.
programming.
We talk about archetypes and
Suggestibility,
myth,
right? Is
right?
it's just that suggestion, and it's repeated and it's repeated, and then we hear it, other people say it, and we fall under the spell,
Well,
and
you've
then we repeat
experienced
it.
this. Yeah, because when you use, I mean, you always have to define the word myth when you say
Yeah,
myth.
right, exactly.
You did that in I think the first presentation, right?
Yeah,
That you did here
yeah,
right away because
and Bible class, and, yeah,
yeah, because
right,
like
fair.
the people who are intensely, like they pay attention every day,
Yeah,
right? That they do the devotions. They already know, they already talk this way, even though I don't ever use the word myth. I could, but I don't.
right, right,
It's just what we do. It's like, oh, there's number 3. When else have we seen 3? Right?
right,
it's
right.
like it's like yes, it's patterns, it's shadows, it's
The truest
repetition.
truth. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the truest truth. It's like,
right.
oh, wait a minute. He said, yeah, on the third day something happened. On the
Yeah,
third day, I've heard that language before, right? So you
right,
do that. You just,
right.
I think you can do it naturally without having to
We
think too hard about it.
do what we do by naming it is recognize. Okay, this is heaven covering an earthly thing with meaning, like the true
I
meaning
mean,
of
and
something.
that's not exactly a method.
No,
That because that again, what mechanicalizes it or something.
yeah,
That makes it
it's a
kind of
hermeneutic. It's just recognizing there's a pattern and that the truth is communicated. Like heaven communicates truth this way.
well. Why else tell the story
Right,
if it's not
right.
revealing the
Right.
the truest truth.
Right.
Huh.
Exactly. And so, as a pastor, what you're doing is you're pulling back the veil, so to speak, for folks and saying like, this is the truth. This is the truest truth. This is the highest truth. This is the heavenly truth. But the only way that we can understand it is through parables. I said this. Our friend Dan pointed this out to me, and I'm really chewing on this hard for my own preaching. Is whenever Jesus it talks about Jesus teaching and preaching, whether in the synagogue or in the valley or anywhere, it says he always taught in parables. And I was like, and I've been thinking about, well, I actually don't know any preachers really that every sermon has a parable. They don't preach parabolically.
Well,
So
but I don't. I made this argument before we went live.
mm,
I don't know that we're capable of it exactly.
we're not, because it's not a tradition that we've kept. We've not retained this tradition.
Yeah, we do. We do speak in Proverbs.
But you know who has retained this tradition?
No, you're going to tell me though.
The evil angels.
Oh, they still talk in parables.
Of course they do.
So would you say?
If they didn't, you know what? Would all the reaction channels on YouTube would be gone?
I was going to say. So contemporary story
Mhm.
is. I'm going to tell you the story about this guy who had 2 islands in the
Right.
Caribbean.
We
Right.
even call it a contemporary or modern parable. You hear sometimes people refer to it this way.
Tales of the Rich and Famous,
Yeah, right.
or what was it called? It was the show, right?
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yeah, modern parables.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also have the ones where like, oh, the Dateline. Dateline did
Mhm.
this, right? They kind of maybe along with 60 Minutes
Right.
created the true
Right.
crime genre,
Yeah,
right? But here's their
cops.
great. Yeah, here's the great. No, the ones where they would do like a whole episode.
Yeah,
You
you're
know, it would
right.
be an hour long, and they,
Yeah,
the triumph and then the fall,
right.
right? And you're like, I know these stories.
Yeah, it's
I've
a
seen
modern
this story
parable.
before.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can.
And so, yeah, the evil one loves parables. He loves telling stories because he knows that's how you actually program people to accept. So this is a great point. Kurt Metzger, who's a comedian, pointing this out, is that, people say we live in a simulation. Atheists love to say this, humanists. We live in a simulation. He's like, not the way you mean. We do live in a simulation, but it's created for us by the antichrists, the antichrist, the anti-gospel, the evil spirits. They're the ones who are actually creating a simulation because they want you to accept that reality is not what God has created. And so the whole parable of androgyny and trans, and that there is no such thing as male, female, and it's on a spectrum. That is a parable. You're telling someone a story to change reality, to create a simulation because it's not actually real, right? And so there's power in that. And Jesus says the whole reason I do this is so that seeing they might not see and hearing they may not understand. Whereas the counter, the antichrists, tell parables to say, hey, you want to see the truth? You want to be like God? Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Let me help you discern. This is why I say curiosity and seeking after wisdom is the way to break the spell. It's to unprogram yourself. Because if you farm out responsibility, you're still being programmed, because I'm indoctrinating, I'm putting teachings into you, and you're just accepting them without any filtration. Versus, how about if I give you resources and you go read, or you go study, or you go listen, and then make up your own mind, right? It's not physician heal thyself philosophically, but more along the lines of like, listen, I could tell you what the truth is, or you could go experience it for yourself. Because our friend Martin Shaw talked about this in the podcast on Joe and I Sent You, which is Christianity is an initiatory religion. It's an initiatory faith, meaning we're always told by God, go into the depths, be swallowed by the great fish, die for 3 days and pray, and then be resurrected. Like that's Christianity. And so
It's the only story in the Bible.
So read the question, that's the answer that we can then jump off of, which is, what's the Christian life look like?
Okay, so the question, this comes from Clay.
Hey, Clay, thank you for the question.
He says, great episode on Taylor Swift. That was a Q&A episode. I had a question.
By the way, I learned a whole bunch of new stuff about Taylor Swift on the backs of that, which is even better than the stuff that I was talking about.
I'm sure.
I sent you the video, like how they create pop stars. Like she's merchandise. That's all she is. And how they engage in mass hypnosis at her concerts.
Speaking again of American Eagle and Blue
Well,
Jeans.
again, so what I said about Christian freedom, just be aware, when you go to a Taylor Swift concert, you're being hypnotized on purpose and programmed.
Yeah.
It's literally mass hypnosis for the sake of programming you.
And that's not a new development. That's ancient wisdom.
It's ancient. But I'm just saying, if you go to Taylor Swift or Katy Perry or any of these concerts where there's lots of flashing lights and you're suggestible, they're programming you. and they're not programming you to worship the true God or live in reality. So anyways,
Mm,
continue.
yeah. I had a question regarding other Christian celebrities,
Hmm.
quote unquote Christian.
There's no such thing.
What are we to make of Christians who make it big
Right.
and claim, wow, this is really relevant given to
Hmm.
what you said about
Yeah.
the three who died, claim God is the reason for their success?
Right.
I guess it's a bigger question of, quote, what even is success for a Christian, end quote? How is the faithful Christian business owner that fails different than the one who kills it?
Hmm.
Was God behind one and not behind the other? This.
Yes.
Okay, so then he's going to give us some
Hmm.
context. This has gotten my attention after watching a Dude Perfect video
Hmm.
with my son, where they spend 3 days trying to break the record for the world's highest basketball shot. I've seen that one.
Yep.
After making it, they say a few lines like, "It's obvious God is not done with Dude Perfect."
Yeah.
This is also
Which one? Which
the
one, by the way? Which God?
yeah, right. This is also the athlete thing, right? Where you thank
Yeah.
him for the
Yep.
performance.
The eugenics Olympics, as we call it.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe these guys are genuine believers,
Hmm.
albeit like the Baptist kind.
Hmm.
No harm to Baptists here. And I believe God is in control of all things, including the basketball shot. Okay.
Which God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll get it done. But it seems weird that God would not be done with the
Uh-oh.
thought.
There he is.
Yeah, I know. It's just my camera.
Okay.
Oh, no. I switched to the
You're
terrible
up nose,
camera.
up nostrils. The granny shot.
Where did the regular camera go? It just killed it. All right. I turned off my camera until it comes
Okay.
back. Because you don't want to look at my nose.
That's fantastic.
It won't let me get back to my regular camera.
Is this on? Are you there?
All right. Let me finish
Hello?
the question. Let me finish the question.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Where were we? It seems weird that God would not be done with them since they made the shot, but would have been if they had missed it. What about
Mhm.
all the other faithful Christian athletes? There it
Right.
is. Business owners that never attain the same level of success. But
Mhm.
again, what is success? I might
George
have to
George
leave and
Carlin
come
actually
back.
already answered this question in the late 80s.
George Carlin,
He did.
our primary
He
theologian.
actually cites this as the reason he's an atheist. And he grew up
Really?
Roman Catholic in New York, yeah. Because the football player that wins the game always credits Jesus Christ with his victory. And he's like, so God hates the other team then? Is that what you're saying? So everybody before the game's like, yeah, just like thank Jesus for letting us be here. And then at the end of the game, it's only the team that wins that credits God with their success. And the team that loses, you're like, no, God doesn't love you, go away.
Right. Right.
I mean, when I learned that in high school, that just reinforced my atheism. I'm like, oh, God only supports winners. Got it.
So, I mean, it is a question about what omnipotence,
Providence.
providence.
Hmm.
This would be, well, who emphasizes the omni attributes in Christian tradition? Which Christian traditions seem to emphasize the?
Well, it's the medieval Roman Catholics that really draw that out.
Exactly.
This comes out of Aristotle and Plato, actually.
Yep,
not out
exactly.
of
Because
theology.
it's compatible. These are
Mhm.
philosophical terms that we said. Oh,
Correct.
well, surely, and even Luther,
Right.
like in Bondage of the Will, arguing with Erasmus, say,
Right.
we're not going to deny that God is
Right.
omnipotent, but that's not.
I would say this. Here's the short answer, then we can dive in. If
Okay.
Dude Perfect wanted to actually be or anybody really wants to testify to the true Christian life, quote unquote true, here's what you say. Hey man, we just spent 3 days trying to perfect this shot and we hit it and we were praising things to God for this. But ultimately none of this actually matters because only Jesus Christ is true salvation. And rather than spend 3 days trying to, do this, which is what we do, this is our vocation, go to church and hear
Rather
the
than
gospel
the,
and go to the Lord's table.
like the symbolic actions, like making the sign
Mhm.
of the cross, pointing to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But actually testify with words.
Again, you could even be ham-fisted like, hey man, it took us 3 days to perfect this shot, but just go get baptized because Jesus does it in one shot.
Nice
You know,
line. I like
I
it.
could write ad copy for these guys.
You could.
But the point is, they're starting with God. I want to start with Jesus on the cross. The loser wins, right? He wins by losing. And he says, you need to give up your life and take up your cross and follow me. Okay, so the Christian life is just that. It is suffering and it is pain and it is death. It is being swallowed by the fish and being dragged down into death and the abyss.
I mean, they might have died trying to make this basketball shot.
Doesn't matter. Ultimately, none of that matters. Right?
Right.
It's what you do with your freedom. Like, oh, I'm free in Christ. I'm baptized. Now what do I do with my free time?
And it is a beautiful thing, I suppose.
But the question is, are they loving and serving their neighbor in charity? Or do they use their platform to raise money and then they give that money to charity? I don't know. I'm not going to judge them.
Yeah,
'cause
I don't know either.
But point is, if you don't start at the cross, this question can go any number of ways. Like you just said, it can go into the omni-providential, double predestination. But you'll notice it's a law question because it starts with God. It doesn't start with Christ crucified.
Well, Yeah, so the questions in here are claiming God as a reason for success. What is success?
Right. Well, it's a
Was
psalm,
God
right? God give us success.
was
And we
God
are,
behind one and not the other? You know,
right.
the one that fails, the one that fails.
And the answer is he made us, everything was made through him, for him, by him, right? We talked about this in the beginning of the word. There's nothing that is made that wasn't made through him.
Hmm.
Now, the question is, what were we made for? Well, according to the church, we were made to worship God and be served by him. Not serve him, but be served by him. And again, start with the cross. Don't start with God, start with the cross. Start with Jesus crucified, because that's what Paul says. I would know nothing but Christ and him crucified, which is foolishness,
Hmm.
right? To the Jews who seek signs and the Greeks who want wisdom. Why is Christ crucified? He's crucified for your sin, for our sin, the sins of the cosmos. And what is the original sin? To want to be like God. And so what is perfect in Platonic categories? It is to strive to become like a god.
So the name of the channel itself is a little bit of a betrayal there.
It is.
Unintentional, but probably.
But it is. Because one,
To make the perfect shot. Yeah.
right,
Belongs only to God.
right, versus as we as Lutherans say, the Christian life is not up and out, but down and in.
Hmm.
That is, that God doesn't save you to lift you out of this world, but to plunge you into your own creatureliness, to
Right.
kill you.
Right.
And your cross isn't an abstract thing, it is your neighbor. And so I would say put down the basketball and go to Africa and make wells, dig wells for people.
Yeah.
Start a church, start a lot of churches, go plant churches.
Or teach them to mine Bitcoin so they have stable electricity.
God, no, please don't.
No, it's a big deal.
Teach them
because
how to
you
live
can-
without electricity. So that
No, they need it for the mine, for the well, the electric well.
They don't.
If you want clean water, you got to purify it.
Geez, it's weird how we've lived for thousands of years without any of this technology, and suddenly everybody who's an environmentalist or conservationist is like, no, you can only do it through money and technology.
We didn't live for 1,000 years spraying chemicals and everything either.
Which enslaves you to your electric bill and connects you to the grid.
I was talking
makes you a
about not
further
being
slave.
connected to the grid, but that's another thing. It's called gridless. You can look it up.
Yeah, I know. I was watching, again, Appalachian videos yesterday.
Yeah.
And there are a few people in Appalachia who live off the grid. But the point is then that you have to start with Christ and what Scripture says about Christ. There are lots of gods.
Yeah.
And again, we are always being influenced by spirits, whether they be angelic, celestial, heavenly spirits, or the spirits of the fallen, the 33% that were kicked out of heaven, right?
I don't know if I agree that it's 33, but it's certainly a number of them.
I just want to see if you're paying attention.
I know.
What is it, a quarter or a third?
I think
I
it was the
number.
third.
It's a third that were kicked out of heaven. There you go, 33 and a third.
Yeah.
And so it is 33. There you go. If you ever wonder why that number means so much to people.
No, I mean
33.
that's the legend. I don't remember where it came from.
Well, that must be. Well, then it's
we
true for
found it.
sure. Again, if modern materialists deny it, then it's definitely true. And
It's probably Second Temple literature somewhere. I'm sure.
I'll
Seems
roll with
like
it because I like it. Patterns, baby. So what happens is, if you know we're always being influenced, we talked about this backstage with like the 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins are actually just naming the 7 most powerful fallen angels. Because if you read Genesis, it says after the Tower of Babel that God placed these angels over the people to test them. And Paul says that faith has to be tested in order for it to be proven to be true. So Paul picks this up, this Genesis mythos,
Right.
this Genesis,
Right.
theology, which means then that, again, Satan is the authority. He's the ruler of this world, and his evil angels, his wicked angels, then are literally the archons. They're the authorities over. This is why Michael says, "Yeah, I had to fight with this dude over here on my way. I was coming over from Persia. I had to stop in Greece for a while because I had to fight with this angel and then come over here." And,
It is kind of a strange narrative, isn't it?
and it literally is like he came into the bar and he's like, "Oh, dude, the day I've had." He's like, "Yeah, I fought with this guy." Like, "Cool, have a drink." He's like, "I need one." And you're like, "Really?
I
That's
was
it?"
just in Assyria, now I'm in Babylon. Like,
Yeah, you're like, "You're not going to fill in the gaps." He's like, "What? Everybody knows the story." You're like, "That's fair. Moving on." And you're like, "I don't know the story. Tell me." But recognizing then that as Christians, we're always asking for discernment. We're always asking for the wisdom to unmask these things, these powers and principalities, and to recognize that even Christians can fall under their influence. If you live in Western culture, you are under the influence of evil spirits and wicked angels. And
we call it. I mean, I want to say we de-spiritualize it, but
we sure do.
it's something like that where we
Yeah.
call it the spirit of the age.
Yeah,
or
it's
the
rebranding so
spirit
that
of
we
the
don't
time.
recognize the truth. It's the simulation. It's the
Well, there's a
counter-narrative.
removal of agency, not from you, but from them.
What's a removal? I wouldn't say they want you to have agency.
Of course.
And we're trying to tell people every week, you're an instrument of divine grace. You're an instrument of mercy. You're an instrument of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Agency is the story the demons tell you to get you to reject God and say, no, I have to worship God, versus like, no, God serves you. You don't serve him. That's not how this works. You serve your neighbor as Christ serves you. That's biblical. And so your responsibility is to serve your neighbor by dying for your neighbor, to sacrifice your life for the sake of your neighbor as Christ sacrificed his life for you. 1 John, the mercy seat, blood, 1 John 4.
Yeah. So we can't even hear the word like obedience in relation
Right.
to Christ.
Which
As,
means listen.
yeah, it means to
Yeah.
listen, hold
Yeah.
fast too,
Right.
right? Do whatever he
Yeah,
tells you.
hold fast.
That's what his mother says, right?
Right.
Mary says, just do what he says. It's
Yeah.
like, that's actually pretty good advice.
Yeah.
Actually,
Listen. Sit
just
with
listen
it.
to him and do it. And you're
Right.
like, because we hear it as an act of agency rather than an act of
Right.
faith.
This is a great point that you bring up, though, that attaches itself now to the word perfect, which is perfect assumes you're doing something
Mm-hmm.
to strive, like a more perfect union. You're striving towards something complete, versus Jesus says, I am completeness. I am tetelestai.
It's already completed.
It's
Yeah.
already done.
Yeah.
So why are you striving for something that Jesus has already gotten and given to you for free, by the way? And this is this is the point.
But AI is going to fix this.
Of course it is. And so what happens is that Jesus says, I look at you and all I see is completeness. I see fullness. I see beauty and goodness and
Mhm.
truth. That's what you are. And you go, but Jesus, I have all these scars and my nose is crooked because it's broken and I have
Right.
arthritis and I struggle with addiction and my wife and I and my kids, we're constantly at each other's throats. Like we're like the furthest thing from perfection. If we were a part of the body, we would be like the pinky toenail. We're the farthest thing from you, the head. And Jesus says, I think you're the most beautiful part of my whole body.
Hmm.
That's what baptism and the washing of regeneration and renewal and the regenesising is, and forgiveness and the sacrament is. It literally washes you in the blood of Christ and says, you are complete, not perfect, complete. And they're
Mhm.
not the same thing.
Right.
So I would say this, that your success, if we go with what Jesus teaches us and what the Bible teaches us about Jesus, is this. Success is, do you know Jesus? If you're a baptized child of God, you are successful. You are complete.
But it's not performative. It's
not performative. So whether
it's-
your business fails or succeeds, you're still complete.
And actually,
If you're a member
free,
of the, yeah,
if you're free to fail, you might actually try a few things.
sure, absolutely, because
Be creative.
right.
Yeah, experiment. See what's possible.
I'm on the way home. I said to my wife, I said, Annie, I'm going to write an article called "Why Christians Don't Laugh."
Mm-hmm.
So thank your congregation for that one too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just your congregation; it's every congregation in the Lutheran Church. Like, why can't we laugh at ourselves? And I came up with this. Tell me if you think this is, based on the parabolic stuff. I have pushed all of my chips in on Christ and the gospel, all of them. Like I don't have a single chip left. I've literally staked my entire life and salvation on Jesus forgives all my sins and I will see paradise.
Yeah.
Most people I know, most Christians I know, will not push their chips all in on Red 13. They do not believe that Jesus is going to hit Red 13 every time. And I stole this from Capon in his Parables of the Grace, but
Yeah.
I don't think most Christians did that, and because of that, they're so uptight with guilt and shame and worry and anxiety and stress because they're not staking everything on that promise.
Yeah. It's
And so
called
as a
like
consequence, they can't laugh at themselves.
it's called
c-
losing your first love, right?
Right.
And the first love is the gospel, right?
Do you think
That
your
it's
first
complete.
love is as a child, you have that childlike faith in Christ, and then as you
Mhm.
kind of hit puberty and get older,
Right.
you're like, no,
Right.
this is all just, a lot
Right.
of this is
And
just fairy tales.
And in our tradition, this is the emphasis on promise, right?
Mhm.
Why can you stake everything on Christ? Because he
Right.
promised.
Right.
And unlike like my promises and your
Right.
promises,
Right.
personal ones, not the
Right.
ones from Christ, there's always going to be doubt,
Right.
Because we fail.
Right.
But Christ's word never fails. He never fails.
This is what I wrote that article about OnlyFans models. I'm like, every OnlyFans model in Christ is virtuous and virginal. She's a virgin. He's a virgin, but only in Christ. That's what they need. They don't need a hug, and they don't need to be told that what you're doing is immoral or illicit or degenerate or perverse. They know that. They know that in their heart. They know that in their conscience.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how strong the programming is, they know that. They don't know they're under the control of demons. They don't know that.
No.
Only the gospel can reveal that and name that. But a true church of Christ, when they walk in, the preacher would say to them, I don't care who you were before you walked through the door. Let me baptize you in the name of Jesus Christ and make you a virgin again. Let me
But
wash you clean.
The language of success then
Hmm.
It does pertain to this because, as a pastor, of course,
Right.
or a
The only,
congregation,
the yeah,
you fall into the trend of like, well, you've left that. Are you going to go
right,
back to it? Can I
right,
control, manipulate? You know,
right,
how can we maximize success? Because we want to avoid scandal.
right.
You know, these sorts of
The only
language.
people in a church are failures, and the only successful Christians are failures. It's the upside down. It's Jesus literally turns everything upside down and backwards. That's what parables do. They reveal that.
And even amongst the less than failure people, the
Yeah, yeah,
Pharisees and
yeah,
scribes, right, the
yeah,
prototypical,
yeah.
99, um, there are some that finally confess and
Right.
are like, no, you're right, Jesus.
I think cultural Christianity, because it's been hijacked by antichrists, they're the ones creating this simulation of Christianity that sells this message of success, prosperity, gospel. If you do this, you can have this kind of stuff. I think that's an anti-gospel.
Well,
I
even
think
the
it's
language
anti-Christ.
that Clay uses, genuine believers. I know
Right.
he means
There's
well
no
by
such
that,
thing.
but yeah, it's an
Genuine's
ad.
also, again, comes out of that same philosophical tradition.
Well, how would you ever know?
Hmm.
Christ knows the heart.
Right.
Okay,
Then
what's
I'm
your
not.
confession?
I'm definitely not genuine. It's
Well, what's
because
your
this goes back
confession?
to red, right? Like I sincerely, half-assedly, repentantly. Adverbs are the enemy of the gospel, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who's the subject of all the verbs of salvation? You or Jesus?
Hmm.
If it's you, Antichrist is in the room.
Yeah, and you got into this. Which conversion story was it? Cat von.
Kat Von D.
Did you write an article on that one?
No, Russell Brand.
Oh, it was Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Right, because since then,
Yeah. It's
you
weird
know,
how after he got baptized, all of this stuff came out
yeah,
attacking him. Like
right.
weird.
Whereas somebody like Hulk Hogan, it's been a year.
Yeah.
So, and it was he and his whole family. I saw the video. It was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was immersion, and that was
But if you
fun
watch Hulk over the last 18 months on podcasts, he confesses. That's what he's doing. He's going on
all the
podcast and
time.
confessing his sins.
Also promoting his beer brand.
He does, but he's confessing his cocaine abuse, his
Yep.
steroid abuse,
Yep.
his sexual immorality. He just goes out and says it all.
It's
And you're
not
like, what is
exactly
he
making
doing?
amends because who
He
did he
doesn't need
let
to. He's
down?
forgiven in Christ.
Right.
He's
Exactly.
baptized.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no, I made amends. I went to Christ and confessed my sins and asked to be baptized.
Hmm.
And yeah, he's Southern, the Southern evangelical. Like, I accepted Christ. I'm like,
Hmm.
whatever, dude, you're in. You got baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Same
Right,
thing
but
with
there was
Russell.
my point was is there less time, whereas
Right.
with Russell, well, you get to see the messiness of it
Hmm.
all, right?
Yeah.
The lack of perfection.
This is why Paul says, right, new converts should not be priests. And
Well,
then you
even
see,
Paul hung out in
yeah,
Antioch for what
yeah,
10, almost 10 years, eight
almost 10
years.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we figured it out. It was 10 years.
But give someone a social media platform and then baptize them, and you're like, oh, we get to watch this in real time. Oof. Again, I keep one journal that I had when I was first going through this, and I'll open it
Hmm.
up every once in a while and be like, oof, wow. Number one, obviously a drug addict was writing these things.
Hmm.
And number two, I was all over the place. But you know what's weird? I was asking cosmological questions in
Really?
yeah, I
Back in the
was.
day?
At
Okay.
23, I was still asking, like,
Yeah, but we talked about this before. It's
because
been a long
I was
time.
reading A Brief History of
I was
Time.
going to just say
Yeah,
you were doing
yeah.
brief history of time.
And Darwin's Black Box. I was reading A
Hmm.
Wrinkle in Time
Hmm.
and that whole series by Madeline Engel.
Yeah.
And they take up that stuff in like the third book or something.
Right.
But I had those questions, and those were the things that were really like trapping me. Was I didn't want to know Jesus. I wanted to know God. And you can't know God.
In the stars?
Well, just everywhere.
Yeah.
Again, in the kind of brief history of time, metaphysical,
Whether it's the stars
astrophysics kind of way.
or
Yeah.
in the cell or
In the
it's
Chaldean way, right?
yeah,
Of like,
right.
how do the stars influence everything? And I wanted to understand astrophysics and biochemistry and neurobiology and stuff. And God's answer is, you can't know me that way, dude. I'm too big for that. I'm too much. And I was like, give me the ocean in a glass.
That's
And
like
he's
a
like,
piece. Yeah, it's only a
yeah.
piecemeal of
Versus
the greater.
once Jesus revealed himself to me, and actually that's what crushed me. That's the thing. Like I was chasing God, and then when Jesus revealed himself, I was like, oh shit.
Hmm.
I need you. I actually remember this because I started praying, can you please throw me back in the ditch? Because I can't be with you. I'm not good. I'm not genuine. Like I'm never going to be a good
Isaiah
Christian.
6, woe is me.
Yeah, what was me? I'm
Man
a man of unclean lips.
Hmm.
Peter's confession in the boat. Get away.
Yep. Yep.
Like literally get out of the boat and just go away. Just
Yeah,
walk
Jesus,
away.
you jump out.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that when you encounter the living Christ, that your first response is, oh, thank goodness. Your first response is, oh no.
Hmm.
I am a man of unclean lips and I am surrounded. I live in the midst of an unclean people. And he literally has to reveal, I'm not here to kill you, dude. I'm not here to annihilate you and grind you into dust. You are dust already. I can't do
Right.
what's already been done. I'm here to tell you that actually in you being ash and dust, I can raise you from the dead. This is, again, the valley of dry bones. And so Cultural Christianity just takes everything I just said and goes, that's actually not Christian. That's the opposite of, that's bad Christianity, actually. That's the reason that you're unsuccessful and a loser and your business failed is because you're not a real Christian.
Or you haven't prayed hard enough. You haven't.
Oh, yeah. I was taught that if you're a true Christian and have real faith, you'll never get sick. I
That
remember
seems.
that.
I don't know. That sounds strikingly like Baal worship.
It is, for sure. It's 100% because Baal, again, the cult of Baal is alive and well. Didn't go anywhere.
It's like make the right sacrifices and you'll get the right result.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. If Jesus is God, who did he pray to? Philippians chapter 2, he actually gave up his authority,
Yeah.
all authority, to become a man.
Yeah.
Go ahead and wrap your grape around that one.
No, I do think it. I mean, it is appropriate to give thanks to God for, you know,
Everything,
for everything, right?
even your crosses.
Well, and so that's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Do you thank God when you're a failure?
Right.
Do you thank God when the business fails? When you
Right.
when you lose the house? When
Right.
you know,
Well,
can you?
that's the Martin Shaw story about the blind woman that St. Bridget healed, I told.
Mhm, yeah.
It's actually it's in the darkness. It's actually in the other world, Sheol, the land of the dead, the living, the land of the valley of the dead is Sheol. It's actually there that you're closest to Christ because everything else has been taken from you and all that's left is him. And you
Mhm.
realize then in those moments, he reveals to you in those moments, I should say, there's just you and me, man. Everything else is just distraction.
So that's like the opposite of the Egyptian cult, where
Yes.
you try to die with the most possessions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's
Right.
somehow going to get you close.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, the only way to get close is to go follow him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's why angels came and ministered to Christ because he is God and man simultaneously. And so,
So
they ministered to him because he is God, and they ministered to him because he's a man.
And I
It's
think
both.
I think it was Capon who kind of broke me of the whole success failure model.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
With
Yeah.
personal life, but I think in ministry
And
especially.
Eugene Peterson under the
Eugene
unpredictable
Peterson
plant.
definitely, yeah, with unpredictable plant
Yeah.
when it comes to being a pastor
Yeah.
and a Christian congregation for that
God
matter.
only calls losers to be preachers. And I mean that like exclusively. Only losers are called to be preachers,
But you know
which is all of us, by the way.
the terms and definitions for a successful Christian congregation, they may ostensibly say it's faithfulness. It
Yeah.
never is.
Right.
For most people, it's not.
Mhm.
It's number of people in the pew. It's the amount of offerings. It's
Always. It's
the-
consumer-driven
ministry.
metrics.
its importance in the community.
Right.
It's everything.
Here's what's crazy about this too, since you brought it up. Consumer law, I'll call it not natural law, but consumer law, but that's what I mean.
it's
in
a
the kind of
it's a part of natural law, maybe.
in the ecosystem of pantheon or hierarchy of like law. I think consumer law is like one of the lowest rungs of like law because
Well,
it's not
'cause
the
it's
law
the-
of the
It's most basic. It's economics.
it's not the law of the jungle,
No,
right? It's not the law of it's not God's law. It's not His word of law. It's just
it's
how
the
can I buy
home, the
and sell
community,
you?
the
Yeah.
nation. Yeah.
To the point that you actually merchandise yourself. That's just the world we live in now. Is that everything
all
is merchandise?
products. Yeah,
We're all
right.
product, which to me is the lowest form of the law because it is so fluid, right?
Well, it's
It's-
dehumanizing.
It's the most dehumanizing because it turns you into currency, but
Right.
lying to you about what currency actually
Well, your
is.
work is, yeah.
Not even your work anymore. It's just you.
You don't think so?
Well, again, Scotland, Ireland, right? The presumed consent law where we own your body because you live here.
Yeah, but I still think
Like,
there's
it
a
doesn't matter
sense
what
of
you do. We just
you know,
own it and we're going to sell it.
to quote Matrix again, you're like copper top, you're a battery, you
Yeah. yeah.
have some value in
Right.
terms of the energy you produce.
But just that, like just you. We're going to harvest you. You don't have to work.
But there's no person.
No, that's
You're
why
just part of a
everybody that
collective
just
whole. Yeah.
everybody that's on the dole, as they say, everyone that's on welfare and doesn't work and is the worst character of like I just sit at home and
They
collect
just
checks.
persist. Yeah.
They just exist. I still monetize that. They figured out how to monetize the person that does nothing.
It is incredible, right? It's like what value you're producing for this world,
Right.
for your neighbor.
Right. Yeah.
And even that language of value and doing something valuable.
Yeah.
The only, yeah.
I would argue they don't want you to do anything, which is why they're making all these laws now to drive us off the land, like in Oregon.
So if you are dehumanized
Yep.
and meaning and purpose is degraded to the point of,
Disenfranchised from family, from
Yeah.
God, from everything. Yeah.
so then like why even bother keeping you alive?
So they can monetize you and merch you.
Well, to you or
No. From you. Like in Minnesota, as an example to this point, in Minnesota, it's actually beneficial if you lose your house and your job because the state will subsidize that by giving you money for free.
you
Well, it's
become
tax
middle
money.
class at that point.
Yes, because they give you a free house. They give you free health care and dental. They give you
It's 60 to 80,000
Hmm.
cost to the state.
Yes. Well, to
Yeah.
me, to the taxpayer,
Yeah, to the
which is why
taxpayer.
taxes are so high here.
Right.
But they don't care if you're working. They don't care if you have, in fact, again, like I said, if you have insurance in a house, you'll be penalized for that in my state.
Mm-hmm.
If you have nothing, you get subsidies, welfare, to the tune of way more than I make in a month or a year. And so the incentive is not to work. The incentive is to quit.
Yeah.
But you have to ask, why? Well, because they don't care about you. You're a peasant. You're nothing. You're a meat eater, as they say.
So
You're a birthing person.
so this is
They have enough people pulling levers. They don't need you.
it's been a few years we've talked about it, but the fiefdom, the
Yeah,
serfdom.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Did you want to hunt my forest? That's my forest. Those are my deer. Did you want to fish in my river? Those are my fish. Did you want to? Oh, that's mine too. Everything's mine. Well, I can't pay
Mm.
taxes anymore. Then you need to go die in a war somewhere.
Yeah, and then there is some illusion too in that sometimes it's privatized, but then the private entity is
Hmm.
kind of not. It's really a public
Right.
corporate partnership kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
It's private property, but it's
Right.
leased to the state, and you're like, so it's really not.
Mhm.
I don't even understand.
Right.
I
That's why
mean,
they
what?
put birth control in the water, but that's another conversation.
Yeah. So like distinguishing BlackRock, Vanguard, et cetera, from
Yeah.
the state is it's kind of hard to do.
Right. Because it is the state, so to speak.
What's the funding model, along
Well,
with the
it
banking
just
cartels and
it is
whatever?
the overseer of the cartel that is the state. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the consigliere. It's the financial advisor that sits in the corner and goes, "Yeah, we can do that." Or,
So
you
we
know,
can complain about these things, but as I've been learning
these are
to
all the
do,
works. This is all the work of wicked angels and evil spirits. That's
right?
what
So
this
the
is.
exit strategy.
That's the infrastructure.
What's the exit strategy?
Christ,
Mm-hmm. And by
because
extension,
Christ breaks the matrix.
it's
He
not
doesn't
just
try and he doesn't go to the architect of the matrix and go, "Hey, man, am I the savior?" And then have the architect go, "Yeah, you're one of many." No, Jesus literally just breaks. Not only does Jesus break the matrix, but he also breaks the real world.
right.
He breaks everything and
Right.
goes, "Yeah, none of this is actually real. The real world's not real. It's
And
a
where
simulation."
are you going to receive that Christ?
At the altar
Right.
through the
Exactly.
gospel,
Right.
because
And
Jesus is the altar. He is the altar.
And I'm saying, and I would like to suggest
Hmm.
it's more than it. That's the heart and center, and
Right.
but then it has its effect on the rest of life.
Well, of course, because we talked about this, right? I was gently taking shots at my mentor advisor friend. Once you are submerged, literally plunged in baptism, plunged into the Logos, the Christos. Once you're plunged into Him, you realize that all of creation is a grail. All of creation is a chalice that receives His blood because He made everything for Himself. All of
Hmm.
creation, the whole cosmos,
So it redeems the whole world. Yeah.
everything, the sun, the moon, the stars, the spirits, the plants, the animals, the people, everything in Genesis 1 is where He bleeds out on.
Hmm.
Again, once you understand Jesus Christ crucified from the foundation, Lamb of God crucified from the beginning, all of Genesis chapter 1 is Him saying, "It's this. I die for this. I shed my blood on this. When I draw the birds out of the waters, it's drawing them out of my own blood because I bled to create these waters. I
This is
created
very
these."
cosmological.
It is, but it's all logos Christology and it's all grounded in the gospel,
Hmm.
not in the law, in the gospel.
Right.
Once He reveals that, then you go to the altar and go, "Well, the altar is just ground zero for everything. It is the top of the mountain from which the four rivers flow out of Eden, out of paradise. It's Christ. Christ's body, Christ's blood, the water that comes out of His side forms the four rivers that flow down out of paradise and actually create all the tributaries. So that everywhere you go, then you can say, "Yeah, the gospel is not being preached by a preacher, but I see Christ everywhere."
Hmm. So when you look at your neighbor,
Hmm.
as a consequence,
Yeah.
you don't see them as a product.
Nope. Whatever
Something
you
to
do
be.
for the least of these, my brethren.
They're not someone to be used or to abuse.
No,
or
they're there to be served and died for, because that's what
Mhm.
Jesus. That is true worship.
Yeah.
Jesus serves you by dying for you.
And that
That's
might
true
look
worship.
like, um, you have animals, they don't,
Right.
right? So how could you serve? Well, we could do like a cooperative arrangement here,
Right.
right? Like, or you just give them. You know,
Right.
I mean, that's even easier.
I'm not going to church to worship Jesus or God. I'm going to church so that Jesus can feed me.
Hmm.
I'm going to the International House of Pancakes, Jerusalem division,
Hmm.
Heavenly Jerusalem division. Again, I'm not going to worship Him. I have no agency. I'm
But there-
going home so that He can feed me.
I'm riffing on James a bit
This
here.
is literally the prodigal son.
I'm riffing on James, where yes, you tell somebody be warm and fed, and then you don't give them anything. Like,
Right.
well, of course you are. Of course
Right.
you are. Right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be counting the cost in
Right.
the way that like you're building a building and you have to budget it all out or
Right.
something like that. You've made this argument, and I'm not quite there yet
Mm-hmm.
because of reasons.
You gotta walk it. Mm-hmm.
Right, but the idea that you could live as a Christian community without a budget.
100%.
Yeah. Not only that you could, but that you might be better off that
I'd
way.
say, well, again, because you're just connected to the grid at that point. It's mammon.
It's slavery. Yeah.
It is debt slavery for sure.
Yeah.
You're a tax cow. And you know for a fact, I was just talking to my wife again, they're coming after our tax exempt status at some point. They can't
yeah, of course.
stand the fact that property isn't theirs.
Housing allowance.
You might actually grow
yeah.
vegetables on that property, but I got to get that. And then there's the housing taxes and all the property taxes. Oh my Lord. Like
Yeah.
all that unclaimed real estate.
We're not
us.
playing the game the way they want us to play.
Right.
There's
At
still
some point they must.
there's some legacy rules here that need to be
Right.
Amended.
And so when it comes to quote unquote success, as soon as you accept a worldly definition, I don't care if it's philosophical, if it's capitalist, if it's parliamentarian, I don't care. I don't care. When you define success as anything other than death and resurrection, you're wrong. At least that's what I believe is revealed to us in Scripture. Because again, I'm not starting on Good Friday and trying to figure out the rest. I'm starting at Genesis 1 and saying Genesis 1 is Good Friday and Good Friday is the last day.
Right.
And we live in this moment that is repeated. We call that it's an aorist verb in Greek, or punctiliar if you want to get really fancy. That is, it's just the same thing happening moment after moment after moment into eternity.
This has happened before. It'll happen again.
Because at the last day, guess what? When Jesus raises you from the dead, he's still going to have nail marks in his hands and his feet.
Right.
He's still going to have a cut in his side because he's always been that way since the creation. Again, obviously, at least from my side of the table, this is the text that has defined my entire existence.
It does make you, if this is true,
yeah,
then why didn't Adam ask, why do you got those
Yeah.
piercings in your hands? What's that
Yeah.
all about?
because he knew who he was.
He already
and then
knew.
after the fall, he hid from it because he goes like, "Oh, death, you, I don't want to die."
The signs of death were
In
were
Christ, you
visible.
never die, and then outside of Christ, you go, "Oh,
Mhm.
oh, that's what you mean by death."
Yeah.
Again, if I lay a baby on the ground and walk away, that baby will die because it can't live apart from me. No,
Right.
it's not going to like die the minute I let go of it, but it is dead. Symbolically, it's dead. It's just a matter of time. As soon as Adam walks away from Christ, this is the analogy of the woman who stripped naked and left for dead in the field, and then the rich man finds her and dresses her and marries her.
From Ezekiel.
From Ezekiel, yeah. This is what we did. We literally just went, "Go ahead, abuse me, beat me, throw me out the car at the side of the road, leave me in a ditch to die." And Jesus is like, "You're the best." That's success, by the way. That.
It's inverted.
Yeah, it's inverted. So I think maybe that's the key. What you just said is the key to everything, which is you have to invert everything, literally everything, because the world, in the sense of how the Bible uses the world, is like sin, like the flesh. The world has created a simulation of reality and said, "No, this is the realest of all real things." And Jesus comes along and goes, "Actually, what's real is this," and he inverts everything because that's what's real. Like we're so upside down and backwards that when he actually gives us reality, he goes, "This is actually what's real." We go, I don't get that." He's like, "Well, let me tell you a story. There once was a man who had two sons."
Right. And the most basic, and base in a sense of like gross, the most basic,
Yeah.
What do you call it? Law, the economy, the law of economy.
The lowest rung or the lowest form of the law.
Yeah. And we were talking before we went
Lowest
live
expression of law.
on NFL owners betting hundreds of millions of dollars on games.
Yeah.
Like how could you? It's because monetary success is that
They're past that. They're
it's
bored.
well, it doesn't even. You can chase that,
Mhm.
but it's not success.
Right. Well, they've
Because
already
you-
won that game,
Right.
obviously.
And you didn't have to die.
Right. Other
So,
people did for you.
oh, maybe.
A lot of
Maybe.
people did for
Or
you.
at least make great sacrifices.
Yeah, they work in factories in places like China and India. And
Right.
yeah,
Making your
they're
shoes
dead.
or whatever.
Yeah, they get
yeah.
buried by cave-ins in Africa while they mine for lithium, stuff like that.
So, I mean, even the language of success, well, we don't want to be too subtle here.
In order for you to be successful, other people have to die for you.
Mhm.
In order for Jesus to be successful, he has to die for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
wins-
breaks the monetary system.
He wins by
because
losing, right?
from really like the 3rd or 2nd century, this is like a really fast moving trend, is because you read like Shepherd of Hermes, the Didache stuff. It is the church is to be poor, obedient, and practice charity. Like this is the threefold monastic vow, but it's been around since even before.
Well,
like you know,
As we said before, and as Adam pointed out, the Iron Bank of Westeros is Blackfield, whatever, or Black Rock, etc.
right.
That is, if you want to blame something on Constantine,
Yeah,
pairing the church with the state
100%.
and consequently with money printing and everything
100%.
else,
Right.
it
There's
does
only
undermine
three
the church.
sovereign nations in the entire world. Only three sovereign states that are exempt from the laws of the countries and the places where they exist.
Okay, what are those?
Washington, D.C., the
Mm-hmm.
City of London, and the Vatican.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. And what do they control? Religion, banking, and politics.
Correct. Yeah.
How odd.
How odd.
And they're paired. They always work together. You look at the Davos meetings, the UN,
Well, I was going
WEF,
to say, you might be able to find some,
IMF, sorry.
not quite as sovereign, but close, Singapore. Yeah. But you're right. There's always a banking center there.
Yeah.
Hong Kong used to be that way.
Right. Again, every third world dictator that's been toppled in the last like 50 years, what do they get toppled? Well, they wouldn't join the central bank.
Well, even first world, we talked about that with Iran.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Yeah, they really, yeah. Congratulations on ruining that democracy, actually.
Well, there's whatever. I don't know about the Khomeini or whatever that.
No, before that.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah,
But
before
even
that.
now, they don't.
Yeah.
They're not participating in international banking.
No. Well, they can't. Yeah.
They couldn't. But somehow they managed to survive without
Again,
it.
you have to voluntarily choose to accept the ring. Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
participate. Yeah.
And so every metric that we measure success by on this side of the altar, on the worldly side of the altar, is false. It's a false religion. It's a
Likes,
false
shares, follows.
God. Right.
I looked at our stats. Not very many people are watching this episode.
That's fine.
I know, but it's
Right.
to the point, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can chase these things, but
That's what creates anxiety. Again, I heard
Yeah.
a great definition that anxiety and stress is a symptom of not participating in reality. I heard that the other day from a Christian. And I was like, wait, did you just say the thing that I... Yes, anxiety and stress is created to the extent that you're not participating in reality, which is why the most stressed, anxious people are fighting the logos. They're fighting Christ.
right.
Constantly.
We use the language of slavery and freedom.
Yeah, slavery,
bondage
freedom,
to freedom.
repentance, forgiveness, that kind of... It's all the same. It's just the language that we use to express, how are you not with Jesus on this one?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you will be anxious if you're not with Jesus.
100%. And so what do you do? Well, you have to ask, what is it that binds me to Mammon, Leviathan, the behemoth, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
What
The
what
beast.
actors, the beast, what actors are at play? What is the spirit? And again, there's the meme, you don't hate the government enough, you don't hate corporate media enough, you don't hate Satan enough.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in the evangelical, he's like God sense in power. I mean, you don't hate the powers of evil enough and how totalistic their control over this world is. And so people are like, how do you not get blackpilled? Why are you not more pessimistic? Why aren't you stressed? I'm like, because I have Christ who reveals this
Right,
to
and
me.
we're talking about since Cain. So
Right. I'm not doing this. Again, you asked this question. We talked about it backstage of like, why know all this stuff? Why learn these histories? Why learn the real conspiracies, all this stuff?
because you could just because you have Christ, you could live in ignorance.
For sure. Yeah.
Faith like a child. Just
But I'm not called to that. I'm called to protect my flock.
right.
I'm a guardian of, again, as I preached at your
And as a
ordination
father
anniversary,
too, your family.
I'm not a shepherd. I'm not the shepherd. I'm the crook. I'm not a net. I'm not a fisherman. I'm not the fisherman. I'm a net. I'm not a light. I'm not the light. I'm the wick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an instrument. And I think the freedom in that statement that I gave to you is, it's not on me. I don't have to chase down the sheep. He's going to
What
chase
I liked
them
about
down.
it, especially, is the net's broke. So
The net's broke. Exactly.
He's the broken net.
That would be me. And yeah,
He's the smoldering wick.
right.
Yeah.
It's you're only going to be blackpilled if you don't understand it's actually Christ who's revealing these things to you. To say, listen, don't let this in the church. Don't let this in my church. Too many churches have let this in already. Don't let political activism into the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let worldly definitions of Christianity near your altar. Get that flag off your altar, for example. Get that flag off your altar, because that is the world. That's idolatry. And I'm done playing nice about that. It's idolatry. Get it off your altar.
Mm-hmm.
Because that God that flag symbolizes is not Christ. We are not a godly nation in the sense of Christ. We are a godly nation in the sense of
Speaking of
Baal.
psyops, yes,
Yeah.
and grand illusions.
Yeah.
You know, never mind the supposed faith
The
of the
DNA
founders.
of the United States is political idolatry. Like if you don't see that in the original documents, read again Madison, for example, or
Do you even need
Jefferson.
do you even need documents? I mean, you've
I
got
mean,
Washington Monument, you've got the Lincoln
well, I'm just
Memorial,
saying, like, do your own research,
you've
learn
got
for
the
yourself.
pictures on the currency,
I mean,
you've
yeah,
got
it's pretty clear the all-seeing eye of Ra on the currency is kind of a dead giveaway that the cult of Baal's alive.
well, and if anything, it's a yeah, in God we trust, which is
Which one?
highly
But it
unspecific.
is very deceptive because even as Christians, we've been brainwashed into saying God rather than Jesus, or we
America
say God
the
and Jesus.
what's the hymn? The America the Beautiful.
America, God bless America.
God bless America. Yeah, that's the
Which
one.
again, in our own hymnal, there's a whole section of these hymns, which is
Patriotic songs. They call
just
them patriotic songs.
idolatry. Just idolatry is what it is. And so, and I only say, again, I'm not saying these things to tear down the church or attack the institution. I'm saying these things to unmask the spirits behind these things and show you they've infiltrated the churches because we opened the door to them and let them in because we thought we were helping and we're not. We've been sold a bill of goods at least since the 1950s where we're told like, no, it's totally fine.
This is, I mean, this is pretty radical because you're talking about, um, you know, it's almost the same argument as the Reformation argument
Right.
about the role of reason,
Right.
right? Where we said there's a ministerial use
Right.
of reason.
The endarkenment. Yeah.
There's a ministerial use of reason,
Right.
meaning it's in service to the gospel,
Right.
but the gospel is the magisterial word, right?
Right.
It's the majestic word. It's the
Right.
ruling word.
Right.
The problem is you know, ministerial. Like, how close can it get to be
Right.
not quite magisterial, but it's so close?
Here's how satanic that is.
Mm-hmm.
Behold the light of the world, the light that no darkness can overcome, John chapter 1.
Correct.
And then they came along and went, here's the enlightenment. And by the way, we don't talk about Jesus, we talk about God. We don't talk about Jesus anymore, we just talk about God who enlightens us. The true enlightenment.
And really, the God is within.
The true enlightenment,
Ultimately.
yeah, because the light is in you. By the
Mhm.
way, that's also Hermetic, esoteric religion.
They love that stuff.
I love it. And the true light comes out of your pulpit every Sunday. It comes from the altar every Sunday
Yeah.
because Jesus Christ is the only enlightenment. And the true, so this is what's cute. I learned this last night. This is really cool, actually. So this whole Illuminati stuff that people love to talk about, right, as if it's like a thing, like it's like a you know, like they have like an Elks Club kind of group where you can just go join the Illuminati. The purpose of that term is we're here to enlighten you. We're here to actually show you the truth, which is really, again, to distract you from Christ, who is the light of the world.
Yeah.
So the true Illuminati are actually preachers of Jesus Christ.
Right, but what's the expression? He disguises himself as an angel
As
of
an
light.
angel of light, exactly.
I
So the
remember what that is.
enlightenment, in the whole Illuminati nonsense that is, peddled, yeah, that's Satan saying, "I'm the angel, I'm the light."
And sometimes it's kind of ham-fisted and gross. Like wokeism is another way of saying
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah.
To be woke,
Yeah.
being awakened,
Yeah.
because you're sleeping. You
I'm
need to
awake,
wake.
man. I'm awake. And by the way, both sides say this. The MAGA people say
True.
this.
Right.
I got awakened in 2020. I'm like, I get it, but I hope you know you're being again. You're being programmed.
As if you didn't already know before.
Right.
May
Right.
live, but there's certain tropes that kind of.
But everybody else is talking about it now, so I can too. Again, the South Park episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what they're calling out. They're like, "You're all doing it. You're all doing it."
Again and
again and again and again. And as I sent you that video, it's like we don't have anything to make fun of anymore because there's nothing left. Like there's nothing left to make fun of because you're all a part of this giant fondue pot of just
Well,
hurt.
I mean, we've turned all
chasing
of life into satire,
Right.
in a way.
That is the point, exactly. Life itself has imitated the art to the extent that there's nothing left to satirize because it's all absurd.
I was listening to somebody talk about their church group, the ladies' church group, and they always come back with conspiracy theories now
Mm-hmm.
from the church. His wife comes back from
Mhm.
these things, and you're like, "What? It's a
Yeah.
church group? Like you don't come
Right.
back saying, hey, there's this story I read in the Bible." No,
Right.
no, it's that did you hear what Pam Bondi did or whatever? Some
Right, exactly. That is
political-
not success.
If
That
that's
is not
what
the
if that's
church.
what
That
your
is not the
ladies are talking
gospel.
about at church,
That's
yeah,
programming.
that's programming. Right?
Yeah. Your handler is your screen. That's what we don't understand. The handlers are no longer
Mm.
the psychologist, therapist, the politicians that go on the news and be like, my fellow Americans, God bless you and God bless the United States, while they're bombing children in South Vietnam.
Whoever's not for us is against us.
Exactly,
Thank
right?
you, George.
Yeah. Versus, no, like the whole purpose of going to a Christian anything is literally to just be fed Jesus through his word over and over. That's it. So if you come back with a counter message, which that is a counter message, we're
Sure.
going to talk about Pam Bondi. Is that Christ? Did Jesus die for that conversation? No, Jesus died to unmask that conversation, that she is literally a mouthpiece. That's what Pam Bondi is as the White House press secretary. She's literally the mouthpiece of the president or whoever she's speaking on
Caesar.
behalf of.
Yeah.
She's the mouthpiece of Caesar. and the mouth of Sauron, if you want to get
Well,
really like,
supposedly the Department of Justice, but I'm not.
well, the mouth of Sauron, and we know what you know. And so, the point is, again, Paul says this right that he unmasks these powers and principalities.
Mhm.
How does he unmask them? Through the proclamation of the good news of the kingdom and through the invocation of his name. His name, according to Philippians 2, is the name, and every knee must bow at the name of Christ. Every knee. As
Yeah.
I said, I thought this was so great that even Satan, even the devil, sings hymns to Christ because he's a creature and he has no choice. And this is why he's constantly making counter songs that he
Mm.
makes us sing
Mhm.
to worship him.
Yeah. So we are talking about spiritual warfare again.
Again, we
We
have
can't
to.
help it. Can't help it. And that somebody asked me
You know
recently.
why, though? And you brought this up. Children. The children are desperate for this story to be told. They're desperate to be told this is a war and it's spiritual and it's for your soul. They don't even know how to express that or name
And
that.
there be dragons. I
But
mean,
as
this is
soon
true.
as
Hmm.
there's dragons, exactly. And as soon as you
Hmm.
name it, they're like, that. I want more of that.
Hmm.
Like, well, what? You don't want to be lectured? You don't want to be moralized? You want to be told a story of hope? You want
Right.
to be told that there's dragons? Why?
Well, I
Because
mean,
we
story,
see them.
fear, despair, death, but also life, resurrection, hope.
It breathes
Right.
fire like a dragon, and it
Hmm.
hoards gold like a dragon, and it threatens and menaces like a dragon.
I almost sent you an episode from BBC about dragons from
Mm,
literary people. Um,
nice.
well,
It's scholarly. It's
only
scholarship,
because
though, right?
she actually said in recent times we've demythologized the
Yes.
dragon.
Oh,
I
thank
was
God.
like,
Praise that woman.
oh, he would love it. No, she was said it as a positive,
Yeah, good
um,
for her.
but she was the Asian scholar, so she was talking about how they're water
Go
demons.
crazy.
They're water creatures in the East. They're not
Right.
the fire of the West,
Yeah.
which I thought was very interesting. Is that we have
Right.
these very different, and the Asian people are very upset when
Yeah.
you try to conflate the two and say that
Yeah.
that a European dragon is the same as an Asian dragon.
Right.
They're like,
Well,
no,
there's
they're
totally different mythologies.
totally different mythologies,
Yep.
and they're not even compatible because
No.
the Asian ones are benevolent and
Yep.
and the Western ones
Not
are
so much.
hostile. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting. I'll share
Yeah.
it with you now.
It
You'll
is.
you'll be bored to tears because you're like, I already know all this. But,
No, I appreciate that stuff because again, it gives you a bigger lexicon of references.
hmm
And I don't think you can tell. Well, and I think this is the point is that again, Max Weber's famous essay about disenchanting the West and how that's influenced us without anybody actually ever having heard the name disenchantment,
Right.
demagicking in German kind of. But like they recognized this in the late 19th, early 20th century. It's like, we got to get this stuff out of here, man. This is not Enlightenment stuff. This isn't progress. This isn't evolution. This isn't our utopia that we're trying to build. And the church kind of got enraptured with it, enchanted by it, and went along
Right.
with it. And ecumenical stuff in the early 20s and 30s was for sure this, because it was a product of the Enlightenment, where it actually got rid of the sacraments and denied original sin and said there is no bondage of the will. Like, we do have to participate in our salvation to a certain extent. And then each kind of church denomination or sect said
Right.
it's, more or less, but it's all semi-Pelagianism at root.
Well, and I was going to say the participation in salvation is often
Right.
political.
Yeah.
I found that language now being adopted in economic circles. Like, we can save
Yeah, right.
ourselves, we can be saved, or we can save ourselves
Yes.
from
Yeah.
this thing that we've created.
Right.
Which, uh, if you once you dig into it, you're like, it is a beast.
Yeah.
Not just the political part
Well, you
of it.
said it, right? Is that we use the language, we talk in these images, but we refuse to actually name them as being real, even though we use the language about real things.
Well, they don't even know how to kill it.
Right.
They know it needs to die, but
But we have to keep feeding it.
we have to feed it because the
Right.
consequences of slaying the dragon,
Right.
it's going to be worse.
Right. And what
Even
do
though
we
we
feed
know-
what do we feed the dragon, by the way?
Funny, by the way, who called it a leviathan? Oh yeah, that was Hobbes.
Yeah.
It was a long
exactly.
time ago that Hobbes was like,
Yes,
this is going to turn
100%.
into a beast, and you guys
And
don't know
without
what you're
Leviathan, where would we be economically today?
doing.
Where would we be socially?
Well, I mean, we're either middle or upper middle, you and I guess.
Powerful though. Powerfully influential text. Leviathan by Hobbes.
Mhm.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Influenced generations.
Yeah.
And
But you weren't supposed to do it.
right.
It was a warning.
Right. It's not a manual. Yeah, exactly. No, and everyone's like, no, we got to do this.
And you're right. I mean, the 20th century with the psychological arts,
Right.
we'll call them arts because I think that's what it is.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
in the sense of witchcraft,
mhm.
satanic arts, as we say in our catechism.
I won't say that they've perfected it. They haven't perfected it. It
Well,
keeps
that's
iterating,
what they're doing, though, right? Is that they're trying to build a more perfect program. They're trying to build a more perfect simulation.
right? And they have, and it's been, I guess,
Right.
more or less successful, if you want to use the worldly language, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, people come to church and they just repeat the same things over and over and over again. And you're like, why do you keep talking about the same thing? It's like, oh, because you're programmed. Like you're programmed to say these things and you're programmed to not go, hey, wait a minute. I only talk about two or three things and that's all I ever talk about. And this is all anybody else ever talks about. And pastor's always talking about this other weird stuff, hopefully, versus, yeah, the pastor is supposed to be the one who breaks the spell. He's the one who brings the name of Christ that unmasks all the powers and goes, yeah, no, these aren't me.
And I
And
think
these can't save you. These can't help you.
we've talked about it in various ways. We probably spent too much time on it. Yes, I think we admitted that when we were
Mm.
dealing with
Oh
whose
yeah,
book?
2020, 2021.
Yeah,
Dreyer.
2020
Yeah.
with Dreyer's book. But there are.
Yeah.
It's not prescriptive, but
Yeah.
I it's going to affect the way that you live together as a Christian
Right.
community,
Right.
right? I mean, you're going to look and say, well, who's hungry, who's homeless,
Right.
who's in need,
Right.
right? Who isn't part of this communion that
Mhm.
is in need and hungry and homeless? Who's the neighbor that we can
Right.
benefit, right? And why?
Right.
Not because we're looking to be successful. We need butts in the pew, as they say,
Mhm.
so callously, and it
Right.
drives me crazy. Not because we're trying to make budget
Mhm.
or whatever, spend money that we have.
Mhm.
Simply because
I
that's who
think it
we
is.
are.
It's very telling that modern scholars, modern biblical scholars, even deny that there was such a thing as child sacrifice. They all do that now. There's been so many essays I've read by scholars who say like the whole thing was just it was practiced, but it was isolated. It
I mean,
wasn't
the cult of
widespread.
Moloch.
Yeah, it was why it wasn't. That's just the again the Jews are trying to like villainize the other gods so that they don't go worship. Like, do you know who we sacrifice on a regular basis in our culture today? I just said it earlier. Like, you know that it's children who work in these factories and it's children who go down into these mines and it's
But
children that do these things.
there's your perfect example. We've
Right.
been able to sanitize it, to
Right.
package it,
Right.
to put a better
New words.
new words, new
Yep.
faces.
Yep.
Yeah.
Versus,
Mm.
well, by setting it again, they choose to do that. We don't. Again, remember the Chinese government when they were throwing the workers were jumping out of windows and they put the nets out. And they're like,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
we pay them a fair wage. We give them a place to live. They choose to do this. They can have other jobs. They can go do other jobs. You know, and you're like, I don't think they can actually. I don't think that's how that works in your system. But that's a nice sentiment. I'm like, yeah, that's satanic. Like that's what Satan does. He offers you a choice. Again, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse, Godfather style.
Right. Well,
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
don't you have this with you do have, I mean, even a notion of child sacrifice
Yeah.
with Lot,
yeah,
right? He says, "Well, don't take my daughters, but take my sons," or the other way around.
Right.
Don't take my sons, take my daughters.
right,
You're like, you're just gonna give away
right. You're just going to give them
daughters
away to be sacrificed
to these
in the worst possible way. Which, by the way,
these
we
hedonistic
still
people.
do to this day.
Mm.
Weird.
Yeah.
Spent all week watching interviews with these people that actually weren't given away by Job, that survived that, or a lot. Sorry. And so it's all there. It's in our face. This is how powerful the counter message is. The counter gospel is. It's so powerful because it's right in your face. And then somebody comes along. Again, one of your handlers goes, "That's not that," and you're like, "Yeah, that's not that." And then you move on.
Uh,
You're like, "Wait a minute. It is literally the exact same thing." You're like, "Nah, this guy said it's not, so it's not."
what is the another example of this? Oh, that your children need to be, grow to be independent of you. Wait,
Yeah.
why?
So they can be dependent on who?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right.
And as much as I appreciated elements of my college education,
Right.
I mean, boarding school is that way probably too, to some
Mhm.
degree. I mean, no, it's for elitists, not for
Hmm.
the normal folk, but
Remember what Schleiermacher said, though, that the Christian life is
hmm,
ultimate dependence on God. That's his actual words. That's a quote. Ultimate
Really?
dependence on God. That's what a Christian is. Ultimate dependence on God. That's Christianity.
I thought we didn't like Schleiermacher.
We don't. That's why I brought it up.
Hmm.
Because the counter was that, well, then, again, George Carlin, Bill Hicks said this too, comedians, leave it to the jester. That means that my dog is the most faithful Christian I know because he has ultimate dependency on me and
Hmm.
loves me unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, maybe that definition doesn't work then. Ultimate
Yeah.
dependence on who? God. Which one? See, the Enlightenment said there
I
are no
see.
other. There's only one God. Remember Spinoza? There's many paths up the same mountain, but there's the same God at the top. That was Spinoza. That was Enlightenment deism.
Mm-hmm.
There's many names for God, but it's all the same God when you get to the top of the mountain. It's like, that's weird. My God
Even
died
if
for my
it's Mount
sin.
Fuji.
Well, yeah. No.
That's my little fat Buddha guy.
Right. Hey,
That's
there
what I
you go.
found there.
I got one behind me. He's the god of the Japanese god of justice and war or something like that.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't think this guy's fought in many wars. He's kind of round, but
It's a sign of affluence, though.
right, exactly, it is. And so, again, they're all right there. They're in our face, not just the symbol of it, but the actual thing is in our face constantly. But we've been told, yeah, don't believe your eyes. This is again reason, right? I cannot, by my own reason or understanding, believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord, to come to Him. But the Holy Spirit's called me by the gospel and enlightened me with His gifts.
Yeah.
The only true enlightenment is the gifts of Christ. And the only true reason is Christ. And the only true strength is Christ. This is pretty clear in the Bible. He is our strength. And so the answer to the question, again, is the only heavenly success is, do you know Jesus? And not that you know Him as a kind of generic...
If you died today,
Right,
do you
no,
know?
but rather, what does Jesus say it means to know Him? It means you're going to follow Him in death. And you're going to sacrifice your life for your neighbors. You're going to sacrifice your life for the cosmos, to be technical, in the same way that He did, because you're part of His body. You are His body. He suffers in you and you suffer in Him.
Well, I mean, you should probably still invert it and say, no, He
Yeah.
knows me.
Yeah, that's better. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because otherwise you get into that whole, do you know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior kind of thing. Versus He actually accepted you as His personal sinner. So
yeah, He knows every hair on your head.
again, like I said, there's nobody in church except failures. And anybody who believes otherwise doesn't stick around very long, or goes and finds a church that peddles that prosperity gospel success nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, success looks like a sinner on his knees receiving the body of Christ in his mouth.
And that could be 20,000 people in a stadium.
Sure.
It's possible.
Again, numbers don't matter.
But
Numbers
the number
are
isn't
law.
the point. Yeah, exactly.
This is our friend Nagel, our beloved Nagel. Math is of the law.
As Luther said at Marburg, no more mathematics.
No more mathematics. That's right. Right. And that's true.
Yeah.
Close your eyes and listen to the gospel. How many people are there with you? Right.
So yeah,
it doesn't matter.
So I'd be hesitant to even use the language of success.
100%.
In relation to personal, but also ministry.
Right.
I mean, ask like, what's a success? What would be a success for a parent raising children? That they know the faith, right? That they
get
confess
married
Christ.
to a good person. They have a good career. That they
job.
can pay the bills. They have a nice house somewhere. Blah blah yard. That they're financially.
You mean they're a taxpayer?
They're a taxpayer. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
The myth of American success is, Lord, do you pay enough taxes? Then you're not very successful.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, has Jesus baptized you? Has Jesus fed you the medicine that can heal you? And for me, success is my corn is like up to my head. Like I consider that a success. I'm like, but I didn't do anything.
No, that's God's gift.
Yeah, he grew it. He gave the sun the rain. He
caused
gave the
the seed
growth
to germinate. Yeah.
He protected it from the aphids and the locusts and everything. I'm like, I didn't really do anything. So why am I sitting here excited about
You don't
my
think
corn?
any of your skill or wisdom had a role in this?
I guarantee you it didn't, because I told you this. I scattered seeds like the sower. I'm very gospel. And so it's just growing everywhere.
That's probably the most offensive thing you said the entire day.
I'm sure.
It's like, because you offended your wife.
Yes, I did. She's used to it, though. She knows I'm going to pick. She's like, oh, he was bored. He started picking on me. That's when he's bored. Yep. Yeah. This is how we love each other. Is by
that's like the greatest scandal.
We're very Irish that way.
Is that
the insult is the love. Yeah.
That you would insult your wife. Oh.
Yeah, no, that's Irish lovemaking right there. That's what that is. If you're not Irish,
I know. We've talked about the language that you use for each other.
As Irish women say, American men cry too much, so it's hard for them to understand when we're flirting because we insult them. They're like, no, I'm not trying to make you cry. I'm trying to tell you I'm interested. He's like, yeah, American men don't get that. And yeah, you don't get that in our house either. It's vicious. But yeah, that's it. I think you got it, is just get rid of the word altogether and recognize it's a trap. Because it's a trap. Can we define it? Sure. Can we talk about it? Absolutely. But it'd be easier for everybody just to not use that term. And recognize if worldly folks are using that term, it's a trap.
So if we can't pay the electric bill,
Yeah.
what's the answer? Don't use electricity.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean we can't?
Yeah.
We don't want to. All right. Well, then we just won't use.
You mean the stuff that's in the air that we can use for free, that we
could
for?
meet during the day, because since we have windows, there's light in the room.
Yeah. So weird. We could use candles or kerosene or.
What are we going to do in the winter? Well, you might have to wear a few more layers.
Yeah.
We could light a fire.
You could have a wood stove or a fireplace. Kind of weird that way. There's ways, man. There's ways.
What did I post from
Buy the Foxfire
Ecclesiastes,
books,
right? I
baby.
posted that in the group.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we have to buy our wood for fire.
Right,
I
exactly.
was like,
Well, there you go, right?
oops. How did we end up in exactly what Solomon laments, or
Yeah.
Jeremiah laments, excuse me.
Yeah.
Or was it Ecclesiastes? It was Lamentations, yeah.
What's that?
So it was Jeremiah. He's like, we're having to buy our firewood.
Right. Which, by the way, again, medieval. I own the woods and everything in it, so you got to
Mhm.
pay a tax on the wood. Otherwise, we're going to put you in the stocks. Yeah. Thank God we're not like those ignorant peasants in the Middle Ages. We don't have to pay taxes on the wood that we cut or the food that we eat. Oh, yeah. At least the medieval peasants knew they were being fleeced.
So yeah, so I do think breaking the illusion is how we.
Yeah.
That's another way to frame to speak, is to
Yeah.
say, where have we adopted language, ways of thinking
Yeah.
that we're told to,
Hmm?
but that are especially contrary to faith,
Yeah.
or at least don't support faith,
Right.
to get in the way of it, and that needs to be excised. That's what we call idol making.
Jesus, give me the medicine of heaven so I can be healed. And in doing so, reveal the truth to me about the powers of darkness and your truth. Not my truth, not the world's truth, just you, Christ, your truth. You are truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No one comes to the Father except through me. Therefore, if no one comes to the Father except through Jesus, stop talking about God, talk about Jesus. Number two, realize if Jesus is truth, then truth is a person. Life is a person. You have no life apart from Christ. All these other gods can't give you life because they're parasites. They just prey on you and demand that you sacrifice, again, the dragon that we talked about. And then lastly, I am the way, I am the path. That there's no path up any mountain. There's no paths up any mountains. He is the way. Raise the valley, lower the mountains, make straight the way of the Lord, as the prophet says. And so pray that Christ would feed you the medicine that will heal you in body, soul, and spirit. And in doing so, that medicine will unmask not only the powers of darkness, but also heavenly, angelic power and the power of Christ to save. To save you from what? Well, sin, death, and the devil.
Mm-hmm.
That's our confession.
Yeah, and the key there is
Anything
that,
else, I would be very skeptical of.
yeah, and the key there is you're calling a thing what it is.
Yes, in
We call
fact,
that
that's the theology of the cross.
being
There
a
you go.
theologian of the cross, right?
Right.
So name it
Yeah. Right.
for what it is, according to God's word, right?
Right.
Not using the names that it wants to be called
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
good.
Stripped of name, stripped of identity, stripped of even physical contact. That's the curse of the fallen angels. And so what do they want more than anything? A name, an identity, and physical form. Physical.
Acknowledgement.
Yeah. And dinosaurs are dragons, but that's another conversation.
Yes, we've covered that before.
There we go. Just having fun, folks. So yeah, again, the first thing to do is not do your research or jump online. The first thing to do is just pray. And then as we were talking about over the weekend, because I'm a big proponent of this more and more, is sit with the word. Sit with it. Sit with story, sit with parables, especially parables, right? Like, because he says, I'm saying these things so you don't understand. So sit with him and ask
Yeah.
him, when you sit with Christ, as you pointed with the two Marys, sit with Jesus and go, hey, can you just tell me the story? Just tell it to me. And then whatever you want it to tell me, I leave that up to you. I can't, I don't know.
Yeah, I've thought about this the other day because I'm in my, so we had 15 years of ordination, since ordination, right? So I read through the Gospel of Luke every 3 years. I don't read through it every year. Read through it every 3 years. It's the reading schedule we've got. And I've been using that so this is now the fourth time through.
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't feel like I've ever read it before.
Nope. Nope.
And you're like, well, wait, I know I did. I know we
Right.
read it in depth.
Yeah.
I know that we consider detail.
Right.
I never noticed the lack of morality, the lack of moral instruction.
Yeah.
I just never noticed that
Right.
because it wasn't
No.
contemporary. It wasn't contextual.
What's the original sin? To be like God, knowing good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more that needs to be said, dude. What's the original sin? Well, you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There. Now, moving on. Let's tell a story
Right. And there
that
is a
illustrates that point.
yeah. I mean, there is an exposition on the 10 commands.
Right.
But well, why is it that I not noticed that? Well, it wasn't time or place. It wasn't what the Spirit
Right.
needed me to hear or to be
Right.
revealed to me.
Right.
And that's okay, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But it took 12 years. Well,
Yeah.
okay, it takes 12 years.
Crumbs, baby. Crumbs.
So what?
Yeah.
So what? Did I know I had 12 years? No. Did I have everything needed for faith and life even before? Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
you had the gifts.
Right, because I'm baptized. And
Yep.
yeah.
Everything else is just bonus at that point. Again,
Right.
if you want to have fun, read Luke every other year. I prefer John. You prefer Luke.
Oh, I
But
do. I'm doing. So I do John every year, and
of
I do
course,
Matthew, Mark,
of
Luke.
course, you have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have to. And if you want to have a lot of fun, you do John, and then you do Genesis, Colossians, and Revelation, and then go back to John, or do Genesis, John, Colossians, and Revelation.
Mm,
That's a lot of fun. If you want, I'll say this: if you want to understand what the hell I'm talking about most of the time,
yeah.
it's because I read. Like we spent 3 years just going on a cycle through those books, like nonstop in chapel. It was just Genesis, John, Colossians, Revelations, and then back to Genesis. And so the way that I talk is really just informed and influenced by that. And then I'm attracted to people that kind of do the same thing. That's why I like, there's
Right.
certain early fathers I like a lot, and early medieval guys, because that's what they were on. That's what they were about. And like you said, you can read, if you read Genesis chapter 1 in light of Colossians chapter 1 and Revelation chapter 1 and John chapter 1, oh my Lord,
Mm-hmm.
the explosions that will happen for you.
Right.
Just those four first chapters of those four, like what? And you're like, oh, like I'm not, again, I'm up to my ankles in this stuff. And if I want to go deeper, he's going to have to give me some more.
I think I was it last year or 2 years ago where I did that, and then we
You
talked
gave it
about
to
it.
me. I think it was two
I
years ago
know
because you
it
gave it
must
to
have been
me.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
said, I was like, oh, I have to do that.
But
And
I
the kids
haven't
were,
done it
yeah,
again. I will maybe next year, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The kids were finally like, let's just go back to Judges because that's their favorite. They're like,
Right.
Judges. I'm like, or Joshua. I'm sorry, Joshua. They love Joshua.
Well,
So
and what I
we always
like
go
is
back to Joshua.
there is a diversity. I mean, you can speak very cosmologically,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but that isn't the only way the Bible
No.
speaks.
No.
It can speak very
Right.
personally. Right?
Oh,
There's that kind
very
of
much
language
so.
too.
Joseph
Yeah.
and his brothers.
Yeah. Down to earth kind of
Yeah.
idea. You have both.
Yeah. Well, the
And
parables.
right.
Most
Exactly.
down to earth stories you could possibly tell.
My favorite was, the excuses for to not go to the great banquet.
Right.
I've got so I did this with the children. I got in trouble, I think, but whatever.
As one
Um,
does.
he's like, I have a field. I need to go look at it. Okay, fine.
Hmm.
I've gotten some yoke of oxen. I need to go try them
Got
out.
a new wife.
And then I got a new wife, and I'm like, you need to go see her. You need to try her out. Like,
Right. Right.
how? What? Can you? Isn't it +1 anyway? Can't you just
Right.
bring her?
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
I'm just reading the parable. I was like,
It's so good.
I got to try out my new wife.
Yeah.
That's
It is
right.
actually, when you translate the Greek quite literally, it really
Mm-hmm.
is like, I just got married and I have to try out my new wife.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's actually saying that. Like, yeah, the marriage bed calls. But again, what does he address in those three excuses? What do they say?
Material.
Go through them again. What's
They're
the
all
first
material.
one? No,
Material.
what's the first one?
Land
Okay, I got some land I just purchased. And then it is I got a yoke of ox and I got to go check their teeth
for the land.
for the land. And then I got married and I got to go bed my wife because that's what, and by the way, all moral and legally binding and legally right. So nothing that they're saying is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus says, yeah, everything you're saying is wrong because none of that matters. At the end of the day, it's me. I'm the way, the truth, and the life.
Hmm.
Everything you have is from me. So why are you focused on what you got rather than the giver? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not seeing the greater overarching reality here.
But that's another,
Yeah.
like, and I've preached on that text how many times?
Yeah,
15 times.
Right.
But still, it
Yeah.
didn't just click. And then, it was the right time and place.
That's so
and-
depressing what you just said.
What?
Well, I just realized when you said it, I'm like, in my entire lifetime, I may preach the same text like 30 times total.
Correct.
And then I'll die. And you're like, wait, only 30 sermons on that text?
Right.
Really?
Well, and then anytime you bring
Ow.
it to bear. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not a lot
It isn't.
in the grand scheme.
No. No, in one ministry.
It's
Right.
very humbling, actually. I like that. That's very nice.
You get 30 shots at it. That's it.
Yeah. and that's probably more than I should allow, but I love you. So
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Exactly. I'll allow it. Yeah. Continue.
Good.
That's beautiful, actually. Yeah. Don't take yourself so serious.
Hmm.
Yeah. So good. That was good. That was fun.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
Want to leave it there?
We'll just keep ticking them off as we go. Have fun
Okay.
with them.
We'll leave it there. We'll come
Again,
back.
as always, this is a conversation. This is not a lecture, and this is not us trying to tell you, like, no, like, okay, this is the definitive be all end. No, we're having a conversation. And as soon as we tell you this is the be all end all, we've killed it. We've throttled it, and it's no longer a living conversation that we hope that you continue when you stop listening. Talk to your friends, talk to your Christian brothers and sisters, talk with your pastor at Bible class about these things. Wrestle with them, pray over them, sit with them.
Yeah.
And
And
like
what
you
you-
said, you can go big, you can go cosmic, but you can also get into the granular, just day-to-day
Mhm.
practical stuff. It's all there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the Word of God is it's not just one thing. It's constantly saying like, no, I want you
Right.
to know this now.
Right.
And it undulates and moves because it is living. Again, the Word is living and it cuts to the very marrow and active, living and active.
Right. And my point was, because it's living,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Christ Himself,
Right.
and it's breathed out by His Spirit into
Right.
you, it will be appropriate and relevant
Right.
for for those who have
Right.
ears to hear.
It'll
Right.
come and live with you,
Mm-hmm.
and
Take up its home with you. Yeah.
you can treat it as you can treat it as an honored guest because it is,
Yeah.
right? Or you can treat it as a dead thing. Either way, it's still alive and active, and it's still going to do things whether you want it to or not. So why not welcome it? Why
Mm.
not say, hey, since you're living and active, I'll just sit here and listen. That's good.
Mm. Yeah. And hence the instruction
Obedience. Yeah.
to listen morning, noon, and night as you go about
Yes.
your work.
Right.
And there's tools to do that.
Yeah.
Used to be you just carry a Bible with you, I suppose. But
On your Torah, I meditate day and night.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, not
Yeah.
your mitzvah, your
And
Torah.
by the way, the godly woman of Proverbs 31 does
Mhm.
all the work so her husband can sit in the gates and meditate on the word.
How dare you?
I love that part of the.
Why did you have to burn this entire podcast down at the very end? Oh, the
How
scandal.
does he have time to sit in the gates? Oh yeah, she gets up before the sun, and she's
How
up all
dare you?
day, making clothing and
Yeah,
food.
because her
And
husband's too dumb to just sit with the word. He's got to go live with it and study it and wrestle with it.
well, he
Which
has to
is
talk
like,
to other guys. Yeah.
yeah, of course, that's his therapy. Again, he has that's the podcast of that day.
I just love, yeah, in that Hebrew world, it's like, to go spend time with the guys and to like go bowling or
Yeah,
go to the
well,
bar. It's
that's how Absalom became king. He started his own podcast. That's basically what that is. He's just sitting at the gate with a bunch of guys talking.
he had his guys.
Yeah, he had his guys and like, hey man, episode number 33, why my dad sucks. You like leave your comments in the comment section if you want to support us on Patreon and get in. Yeah,
There may be a revolution eventually. We'll see.
100%. And then he became king, and everyone's like, I don't like your podcast anymore. It's kind of lost its focus.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
cool. All right.
All
Well,
right.
we love you. God bless you. Jesus bless you. And
There you
God
go.
be good to you. We'll talk to you again real soon. Peace. There we go.
All right, I'll stop
So fun.
the stream.
There we go.
Stopping the stream, maybe.